there is a heartbeat. 6 weeks, the baby quickly moves in the womb. The brain waves are present at the 8th week, and the child is able to grab things. The baby is able to swim in the mother's womb freely, and the heartbeat is measurable. 12 weeks, the medical record tells us that the baby cries. The baby sucks the thumb. The baby sleeps and wakes up. All the organs function, including the mental, and can definitely feel pain. And so when abortion is caused, you inflict pains on a living soul, and you take away a life that God has given. And so the Bible is telling us that God knows us from conception. And medical records prove that in 12 weeks, the baby has everything that a human needs. And only grows, and it develops and grows from there. And waits for when it can have independence to live on this earth. So whenever you terminate, you have shed an innocent blood, and you are liable for that. Watch out. Be careful. Psalms 139, verse 16. Can we turn to that passage very quick?
Which one was it again?
Psalms 139, verse 16. While you are turning to that,
Yeah, I have it.
this is what somebody said before we read that passage. This person's name is Dr. Ken Howie. This is on the viability debate. Says creations, and he works with the creation science evangelism. And he says, I know 35-year-old men that are not viable to exist without the assistance of their parents. But we don't support the killing of those kind of people. Why should we support the killing of babies in the womb? Let's read Psalms 139 and hear what God declares about the personhood of a child yet in the mother's womb.
The word of the Lord from the New King James Version, Psalm 139:16. Your eyes saw my substance, being yet unformed, and in your book they are all written. The days fashioned for me, when as yet there were none of them. The word of the Lord.
Amen. What we call fetus in the mother's womb is actually a man or a woman created by God. And some of these people that we have eliminated are people who ought to be ruling the various nations where they were supposed to be born, and the very people who are supposed to be bringing peace and progress to the human race. yet we terminate them. There are so many debates, and somebody in this debate also talks about cloning. And many people think that cloning helps to bring some things that will cure some diseases, and in fact can replace somebody. Let's hear what somebody from the National Conference of the Catholic Bishops had to say. So we have a process before us that essentially reduces human procreation to total manufacture in the laboratories to specifications preordained by others, the manufacture of human life as a commodity. How do you see this in relationship to God's, what God has ordained man to do? This same debate continues. A woman can be the twin sister of her mother, lack a biological father, and be the daughter of her grandmother. End of quote. Scientific setbacks and a Congress that may be willing to ban human cloning outright may render such bizarre scenarios to us. The two competing bills are currently being considered in the House of Representatives right now. So Christians, you're called to pray. One of the measures sponsored by one of the representatives by name David Weldon, it says who's in the House, and one is sponsored and supported by Sam Brandbach. They call this criminal penalties. Those who practice this should be given some fine, and they should be thrown in prison. But there are others who are for, there are others who are against. Wherever you, what position you take, you must remember that God is the giver of life, not man. And God is the only one who has the ability to take away life, and not man. And so, there is another word that we call euthanasia. Euthanasia is presumed, or the thing they hide behind to come with that is that they say somebody is suffering and we need to help the person to escape suffering. Let me encourage those people to go read the book of Job, the story of Job, and all Job's sufferings. If you were in these days, Job would have been eliminated. Job would have been murdered. So in other words, I'm telling you that abortion and euthanasia should be called murder. Shedding of an innocent blood. Abortion invites God's wrath on mankind. And the Bible states that very clearly. There are two passages I would like you to take note of. 2 Kings 24, verse 3 and 4, and also Psalms 106, 37 to 40. But the Bible is plain: when innocent blood is shed, God brings wrath upon that nation or the people. Listen, the government sends out soldiers to commit that act. And the Bible tells us that God will punish that nation, which is the government, all the people of that nation, but God will also punish whoever carries out that act. And if somebody commits abortion because you have a permit to practice that, you are not exempted from God's punishment. And if you do firing squad, you're not exempted from God's punishment. 2 Kings 24 tells us that God will not pardon the shedding of innocent blood. And so Psalms 106, 37 to 40 supports that. So what do we do? These three simple things that we can do to help avoid being punished by God for either being part of it or staying quiet about it. The first thing that we as a body of believers should do is to seek God's forgiveness as a nation. Seek God's forgiveness as a nation.